Hi there, I'm John Bradley from Outside Magazine. I'm here with Devin Walton from Shimano, who's going to talk to us about some exciting new Shimano road products for 2009. We have over here, we've got the new Derailleur 7900, which is the new elite high-end road group. Devin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Why don't we first, I think a lot of people are familiar with Derailleur 7800, so why don't we start out talking about the 7900 and see where that has improved upon what you had before.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because I think with the introduction of production electronic shifting system, it's sometimes forgotten kind of how that comes about, and it's definitely built upon the new mechanical chassis that we developed for Derailleurs. And there's been a lot of improvements. And in fact, a lot of that has just sort of been that next step, shaving a few more grams here and there, quickening the shifting with the front, shortening the stroke, those types of things to really make it more precise, reduce efforts where we can, that kind of thing. And also perfecting things like the amount of effort that goes into, for example, like the front derailleur system and that, so that you can make an electronic shifting system work, that kind of thing, kind of ironing those things out so that we can go that next step, and even things that a lot of people maybe it's not right on their radar until they hop on it and ride it, but for example, the braking system has been significantly improved, where we've actually changed the cams around so that you actually have more free play or movement in the lever itself, so that you can move the lever further before you have contact at the rim. And what that does, it means that by the time that the pads hit the rim, then you have a nice linear, easy to modulate amount of power there, where your hands have the most strength, for example,
okay,
that kind of thing. Almost like what servo wave is on mountain bike levers.
Right.
So, so a lot of improvements like that have gone into the 7900 chassis. Another really big thing is, again, front shifting is the most challenging part of a lot of drivetrains, and we've taken that to the next step by actually creating a chainring that's hollow. And I mean, let's think about the things that, when we want to make something light and stiff, well, that's why frames are hollow tubes, right? I mean, that's makes something tubular, and also like the Hollowtech Tranks. Again, that's something that's tubular and hollow. It means you can maximize your strength to weight. And so we've actually done that with the chainring also. This is a two-piece chainring that's bonded, and it's hollow, so it's super stiff, but also incredibly light. And by having something that stiff, that means you don't have a moving target when you're shifting the chain, because it's not flexing back and forth.
At all. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so how about the derailleurs themselves? Are those markedly changed from what you had before?
There's a big difference in the front system, where, again, we've actually changed the stroke on the front derailleur so that you have a shorter stroke and a lower effort. And in fact, it changes it enough that this new front derailleur and shifter really need to be used in combination. So that's a big change there. And then there's also been some changes in some of the materials in that. For example, the carbon fiber pulley cage on the rear derailleur, which helps reduce weight.
All right. And I think now more than ever, people talk about the ergonomics of the hoods and the levers, and I know that on 7900 it's radically different, and then again, that's a big point of departure on the electronic stuff. So I was hoping we could go over that a little bit as well.
Yeah, there's a big one of the big changes is that we've actually moved the shifting mechanism. It used to be further out here in the lever, and we've actually moved the mechanism, turned it on its side, put it further back in the perch, and that changes a lot of things, both with the way we can make this system more ergonomic in the way that it fits your hand. It also, again, moving the mass back, actually with how light bikes are on that, it actually affects the handling. And makes it, so that it actually handles better. Reducing mass by also going to a unidirectional carbon fiber blade here too. So I mean, all of those things have changed. And then of course the most markedly different thing, which we've actually received some grief over in some sense, is we've lost the trademark cables.
Right.
And this was a big thing, because we actually didn't want to compromise on moving the cables underneath the tape unless we could hit the same sort of target as far as being able to have a minimum amount of friction by putting those cables underneath. And again, by rotating that shifter mechanism inside, we're able to cut down the friction and actually create something that met our quality standards for that.
Now, I'm one of the guys that kind of misses having the cables to hang on to. Can you walk people through why people might not want to have hidden cables?
Well, I honestly, it was almost like a big identifier, and probably the biggest reason is simply that a cable that is not routed underneath the tape is just inherently less friction, and there's less friction in that system because you don't have as tight a bends in the cable casing, right? So that's the big thing. But again, by being able to orient the shifter mechanism correctly and the way the cable comes out and such, we were able to satisfy our requirements on that and still have a really low friction system.
Okay, all right. And one more thing, I think, for anybody who hasn't ridden the Derailleur stuff, shifts are actuated by pressing this lever by itself or both together. So shifting up gears and then shifting back down, and it's the same on both sides.
Right.
And
This is what we call a dual control lever for that reason. So you've got a main blade that shifts, and then you've got the inner release lever.
and now, if we'll move over to the electronic stuff, and we can see where things have changed quite a bit.